There are many areas for adventures in Middle-earth, besides the ones we're familiar with from the books. To write a landmark adventure for the One Ring, you will need to come up with 6 elements: a name, a rumour, a background, a map, some locations, and schemes and troubles. For my example, I am basically going to take the Among the Outlaws section from the Children of Hurin and turn it into an adventure. To start with, I'll create a rumour, which is an adventure hook of some sort that the players might hear about during their travels. This could include information that is not completely correct, since it is filtered through local prejudices or superstitions. For my example, I'm going to have the players hear about a ranger named Kirian that went missing in the Ettendales. His aging parents ask help in finding him or news of his fate. If he is indeed dead, as they fear, they ask that his remains be given a proper burial. As well, they would like his sword to be returned to them. It is a family heirloom of great worth. It was of Numenorean craftsmanship. The blade was modeled with silver and black steel, and the pommel was shaped like a flower from Nimloth, the white tree. Then, if the players wish to research about the area, they can learn additional old lore, which is generally more correct and might prepare them better for what is coming. It is well known that there are many trolls that haunt the Ettendales and the lands around them. There are also many brigands that have been cast out from more civilized lands. Among the fog-shrouded hills there are also a number of fortified settlements, peopled by those who would not be driven from their homeland, even as the shadow encroaches upon them. The next section to come up with is just for the lore master, and it summarizes the main features of the adventures and should include a basic idea of where the location is on a map. In this section I will include information about Kirian's current whereabouts, that being that he is still alive, but after a troubling encounter with the people of Ethelhala, Kirian is now going by the name of Egla, and is leading a group of outlaws called the Wolves of Winter. Next we will get to draw some maps. This will help with the location section of the adventure, and will give the lore master a good overview of the landscape and any notable features. Using this map, you can then write descriptions of the various areas or locations that are important. The locations should include any friends or enemies that might be encountered, treasure to be found, or specific obstacles that players will have to use skills to overcome. For this adventure, I will include Amon Rin, Ethelhala, the Troll Bridge, and the Wolves' Hideout. I will also include some ideas for journey events. For example, in mine I think that the players should be waylaid by some bandits. When this happens, it might just seem like a random encounter to the players, but they'll later learn the importance of the Wolves of Winter. These events also don't have to be combat related. You can use the options from the journey tables to get some ideas. Before moving on, I will add a stat block for Kirian, as well as some information regarding his sword, such as its special abilities and the curse that is laid upon it. The final bit to work on is the schemes and troubles section. This is where you can outline why the various allies or enemies are at these locations, and what help or hindrance they might pose to the heroes. This is also a good place to connect this smaller adventure into the larger narrative. Are the enemies holding this site because a powerful weapon is hidden here and they are trying to find it? Or perhaps this is only a feint to draw the hero's attention away from an even bigger threat. That is pretty much everything. This is quite a brief outline of how to make a landmark adventure. I am also only going off how the adventures that is included in the core rules is laid out. I haven't bought Runes of the Lost Realm yet, so I'm not sure if those are done differently. I've included a link to download this PDF, and if you try to play it, either with a group or solo, please let me know how it goes. This is going to be part of a series I'm going to make with a separate adventure for each heroic culture. I probably won't make individual videos for each one. Once they're all done, I will make one video that includes all of them, as well as links to some free assets that I use for playing the One Ring. And I'm also going to update the Astari sheet that I made, with some changes that people have suggested. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. Given how long it took me to come up with this one landmark adventure, it might be a while. Anyways, thanks for watching.